time to do stock up, stock down for the Green Bay Packers following week number 2 in the NFL. Packers beat the Colts 16-10 in week 2. In the home opener for the Packers, yeah, Malik Willis, I'm looking at you. Let's start with stock up, and let's start with Malik Willis, who finishes the day 12 of 14, throws his first career touchdown pass in week 2 against the Colts. I think everybody was skeptical, and rightfully so, when it came to Malik Willis, right? You only have 19 days from the day you're traded from Tennessee to the day you're starting for the Green Bay Packers. That's a lot of pressure for a former day 2 pick who did not have glowing reviews coming from Tennessee. There was a report last week from our teammate, you hear on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy each weekday morning from 7 to 9 on 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee, Jen Latta, who talked to some people in the building in Tennessee, and they said he, quote, struggles with football, end quote. Certainly didn't look like Malik Willis, quote, struggles with football yesterday. He ran the offense accordingly. He didn't turn the ball over, and ultimately he led the Packers to their first win of the year. So stock up to the quarterback, Malik Willis, who I would not mind seeing again this week in Tennessee. We'll get to that in a bit. Let's go to stock down. Christian Watson. Stock down. 0 touches for Watson. And I understand that Willis only threw the ball 14 times. But for an offense that was using skill position players, specifically wide receivers in the backfield, I was surprised they didn't utilize the speed of Christian Watson. Now, I understand how he stretches the field and how he's a deep ball threat, and I don't think they wanted Malik Willis throwing Hail Marys at any point in this game. But Christian Watson, no touches in week number 2 for the Green Bay Packers. And it's not like Christian Watson had a very good week 1 either. 3 catches for 13 yards, an average of 4.3 yards per catch in week 1. So on the season, through 2 weeks, Christian Watson, who is healthy, only has 13 yards receiving through 2 games. And I understand the game plan was a little bit different with Malik Willis, but to not get him the ball and to utilize guys like Bo Melton and Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks got into the end zone, it's intriguing to me that Watson's season is off to a slow start. That's not to say he can't bounce back from this once Jordan Love returns. Let's go back to stock up. How about Josh Jacobs? There were some questions about if he still got it after week 1 against the Philadelphia Eagles. He got going a little bit. He had 2 big carries against the Eagles, but it wasn't a star-studded debut for Josh Jacobs in the green and gold. Yesterday was a star-studded debut at Lambeau Field for Josh Jacobs. 32 carries for 150-plus yards in his debut. The only thing against the stock up would, of course, be the fumble on the goal line. Thankfully, that was not the straw that broke the Packers' back against the Indianapolis Colts as they still walk away from the victory. Should have been a bigger victory with the fumble on the goal line, but he proved he is a workhorse and he is a terrific running back and a terrific asset to have in a Matt LaFleur-led offense. Josh Jacobs has his stock on the way up. Stock down for the second straight week. The rookie kicker misses a kick. Braden Narvis, stock down, who misses another kick yesterday. He has now missed 2 on the season. Not ideal as he goes 3 for 4 on field goals. It was a big field goal game. Colts made 1, Packers made 3. Only 2 touchdowns scored in that game. But again, I say, as I just said about Josh Jacobs, this victory should not have only been 6 points for the Green Bay Packers. Even if you have the fumble, it should have been a 2-possession game at the end of it with the Packers up 9. So Braden Narvis misses another kick, but he made a 46-yarder, which is good to see. They're going to stick with him. I don't think there's any kicker controversy in Green Bay, especially following a victory. But 2 misses in 2 weeks is certainly not an ideal statistic for Braden Narvis, replacing Anders Carlson, who didn't miss a week until midseason. I think it was week 5 or 6 last year when Carlson missed his first kick of the season. But they're putting Narvis in a position to kick. They're clearly showing faith in him. But another miss yesterday for Narvis has you thinking, maybe this isn't as long-term of an answer as Packers fans had hoped it was. So Braden Narvis, the rookie kicker, stock down. Last stock up doesn't go to a player. It goes to a coach. Stock up for Jeff Hafley, the defensive coordinator. What a response after a mediocre, I wouldn't call it bad, but a mediocre week 1 against the Philadelphia Eagles. That's a really good offense. And it certainly looked like a really good offense against Jeff Hafley's defense in week number 1. Week 2, though, They've got pieces on that Colts offense. Richardson, Taylor, Pierce, Pittman. It did not look like it for a majority of that game. Didn't allow a touchdown until the fourth quarter. Didn't allow any points until the second half. Jeff Hafley's defense made Anthony Richardson uncomfortable all day long. And there were different guys popping off the page. Only sacked once, but they were in his face constantly. I thought Devontae Wyatt was really good. If we did more than 3, I'd probably give a stock up to Devontae Wyatt, who I felt like he was just constantly in the face of the Indianapolis backfield. 2 tackles for loss for him. He got to the quarterback twice. I thought Devontae Wyatt was really impressive here in what is this now, year 3 for Devontae Wyatt. You've been waiting for him to make that jump. Yesterday was a good start for him. But, I mean, you could talk about a ton of other guys who made plays on that defense. Talk about Edgerrin Cooper. Talk about Eric Wilson, who had the interception. Xavier McKinney getting an early interception. Anthony Richardson looked uncomfortable all day long. To have 3 interceptions, I know one of them was at the end of the game, so it doesn't really count, but it still counts in the stat sheet at the end of the day. I thought Hafley, as much credit as I have given Matt LaFleur on today's show, Jeff Hafley deserves a ton too. So stock up for the D coordinator, Jeff Hafley. Stock down goes to the center, Josh Myers, and it has nothing to do with his play. Josh Myers threw up on the football while he was snapping it in Sunday's game. It was very hot. It was the second hottest game in the history of Lambeau Field. I believe it was about 83, 84 degrees at kickoff. It was hot. I was up in Green Bay. We did the Green Bay Game Day pregame show from just outside of Lambeau Field. I was sweating. I was baking. I sweat through 2 T-shirts yesterday, and all I was doing was talking on the radio for 3 hours. Josh Myers was playing one of the most physical positions in football. He threw up on the football. And the story that we found out after the game from Matt LaFleur and Malik Willis was that play was supposed to be a designed pass. Malik Willis was going to throw the ball not 14, but 15 times in yesterday's game. But when he got the football in his hand, there was vomit on it, so he didn't want to risk anything. So he ended up just tucking it and running. And Josh Myers puked on the football. So stock down to the big fella. Not for his play. I thought he was actually pretty good yesterday. But for throwing up on the football, not being able to keep the pregame breakfast in his system, stock down for Josh Myers, who really doesn't deserve a stock down. I just wanted to tell that story at some point in today's show. Because, look, frankly, after a performance like yesterday, it's hard to give away a ton of stock downs. Could I give one to Quay Walker? Yeah, probably. You know, He's that guy, you know, if you've listened to the show for a long time, you're probably sick of me telling this story. But when the Packers were looking for their defensive coordinator, which ultimately ended up being Jeff Hafley, I always said the first question I would ask D coordinator candidates is, how are you going to elevate Quay Walker? We still haven't seen that for 2 weeks. I'm hopeful it will still come. But he's got such a high football IQ. I think he's such a great athlete. He just hasn't been able to piece it all together yet here in year 3. So I'm curious to see how Hafley continues to elevate Quay Walker. If you're watching along on YouTube or Facebook, ESPN Madison, ESPN Milwaukee, chime in with your stock up, stock down. Curious if I missed anybody in my list that you're curious of. You can comment below. I would love to hear from you on this, because I think there's plenty of love to go around, and I'm sure there's plenty of blame to go around.